writers. And I am really excited today because although Sharon Hamilton lives in my community, I never get to see her because she is so busy writing and promoting and launching her books. And she's a prolific writer. So I want to welcome romance writer Sharon Hamilton to the show today. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you so much, Francis. It's an honor.
And I forgot to print out your bio to introduce you. So I apologize. So why don't you just go over your bio a little bit for us?
Well,
I'm so sorry.
that's all right. I'm a New York Times, USA Today published author. I am indie, 100% indie published, which means that I do not work for a publishing house. I've had an agent since more or less, it's the first year I started, but I really do everything on my own. I've written 32 books. I write in primarily the romantic suspense field, and I've been an Amazon top 100 author several times throughout my career, usually with a new release or various different books that I've released. I've become a top 100 author, and I've held the title of #1 for romantic suspense and #6, I think, in Amazon overall of all authors, which is kind of fun. That's a nice screenshot to save.
Absolutely. Wow. I hadn't realized you'd written that many books. I looked on Amazon and
Yeah.
I was starting to count, and then I actually lost count because you have been so prolific as an author. And I know that for a long time you were in a writing group, but then you decided to stop the writing group because it was interfering with your writing time, right?
Well, it just was. It was very productive, but it's hard to get people who are motivated, who are also writing at a prolific pace. So you don't want to be the only one bringing work to the table.
Right.
If we get together every week, or we tried a bunch of different things, but in time, I mean, we were together for 4 or 5 years. In time, people's schedules change
Right.
and they move.
Right.
And so we just never quite put the group back together again with new people. But it was a great way to start, and it gave me a lot of confidence, and it helped me as a romance writer. None of the rest of them were romance writers. To see how another kind of reader would view my work. I may not agree with it or want to change it according to what they'd like to see, but it really helped give me some depth and fullness to my writing.
Right. So tell us how you started writing, because I remember the story and I thought it was interesting.
Well, our house burned down in 2008, and we were put up in an apartment, and at least I was. My husband stayed at the property because we had animals and things. And I was living alone, been married, a long time by that time. It was the first time I'd been all completely by myself in many, many years. So I read and watched TV. I was working too, still in real estate, but all my clothes were burned. Everything that I had, all my possessions were gone. So it was like starting over, fresh. And I got to reading a couple of books that I wanted to, and I really got the bug. I thought, gee, I wonder if I could write. So on December, and I'd always wanted to write, but I just never thought I had the time. So on December 15th, 2008, I sat down and started writing this first book, and I finished it January 15th, 2009, and it was 90,000 words. It wasn't a very good book. It didn't have a proper villain. It didn't have a lot of things, but I finished it. And then I started asking around, what should I do now? What should I, how do I get this into a book so that it's publishable? And So I joined a couple writing groups. I took some classes online, and I've also found out that writing 90,000 words in 30 days is quite unusual. So I discovered that I had that skill. And I also discovered that I loved it. I mean, after doing that, I never wanted to go back to real estate again. That had been a good career for me, but I was ready for a change. You know, my husband and my daughter still do that today. I learned I took a lot of courses, and I learned how to write. I learned by editing that manuscript 57 times. And it went through lots of editors. I paid some editors to do it. I spent a lot of time and money on that book. And then I found that now I was beginning to understand what it took to write a compelling novel. I joined romance writers because I discovered, I didn't even know about romance books, that was my genre. I just thought it was a love story. You know, I didn't think it was a romance book. I'd never read romance growing up, and I started reading other romance authors, and I thought, oh my gosh, I can do this. This is totally what I love. And so it just took off from there. You know, it was something that it just came at the right time.
Right. So the classes that you took, they were on how to write?
There were online classes on character development, point of view, the voice, developing a good voice, on structuring your novel, like the 4-act. Alexander Sokolov teaches that 4-act medium. You know, how to get down to the nitty gritty of the hero and heroine and all the subplots that have to be the black moment, the happily ever after, just the story arc, and learn the structure of what a good book, or at least for romance, what romance readers are expecting. Because in romance, unlike other genres, you have to have a conclusion or a happily ever after, or happily ever after for now. And in a mystery, you have to solve the mystery, unless you're writing a book in a series, and the mystery won't be revealed till later. But in romance, you have to, if you don't have that happily ever after, it's not a romance, it's women's fiction or something else. So that worked for me. I like happily ever afters. And through trial and error, learning lots of mistakes. I also contested probably 40 or 50 contests. I think I probably took 60 or 70 classes online, and I took as many as 4 at once. In fact, one time I sent the wrong excerpt into the wrong class, and I was taking a class on erotic writing, and I sent it into my landscaping, you know, the background history story, storyboards, and I guess I got everybody upset. So anyway, you know, I got confused which class I was in. I took so many that I got confused.
Yeah, yeah. So I would really love to hear you talk about how you do your marketing, especially in the beginning, because I think you used to blog a lot and blog in groups, right?
Mm-hmm. I was in 2 or 3 different blogging groups. I found that I like to blog, and so I would be blogging once a week or once every other week. One was a group of authors that just wrote romance, and another was a group of authors that did paranormal, sci-fi, and it was a wide stretch of authors. And we just would write a post about something and then put it out there on the internet and share it with people. And then each of us would share the blog with other people, and then that attracted readership. So I think both of those we built up to about 800 or 1,000 followers, something like that. the group, as all groups do, they change, and sometimes you have to move off and to do something else. And I tried a few groups that didn't work out. So it's a love-hate relationship with that. But blogging, oops, sorry about that. But blogging or vlogging, as they say, using lots of other people to combine their readers with your readers is a good way to start if you don't have a fan base. And from there, I collected some fans that were interested in what I was doing.
That's great. Before the webinar, Sharon and I talked about dogs, and
Yeah.
she has 3 Dobermans, and they are very verbal.
Yes. Hey, stop it.
And I have a dog who's actually in my office, but she never barks.
Yeah, my husband
she does snore sometimes, so you might hear her snore.
I'm sorry. He's I think he was on the phone, but he's going to take them now.
Good. So let me see. I have other questions for you here, and I just want to let everyone to know that you can ask questions, and I will pop over here and check the questions, and then oh, there was a question already.
Oh, okay.
Was anyone else getting a pop-up that we're experiencing difficulties with the audio? No, not getting any problems with that. Okay, so talk about, are there other ways that you collaborate with other romance authors now?
Well, we just completed our, it's about halfway done, I guess, Sleeper Seals, which was a group of authors. We got together, we all wrote military romantic suspense, and we decided to coordinate a central theme, and each of us release a book every 2 weeks. And so there's 12 of us. And we started in September, and mine was book 5. And I think yesterday we released book number 8 out of the 12 in the series, and they're called Sleeper Seals. The story is that these are Navy SEALs that have been off the teams for usually about 10 years, and they are called back in to handle a fictional terrorist plot within the United States, and or some kind of a problem. And it's sort of like the Mission Impossible. The government will disavow any knowledge of what they do, and they're tasked to come back in and help out the CIA and the FBI take care of something. So each of us have the same commander who's in charge of the whole group, but then each of us have different characters in different scenarios. We were allowed to come up with our own scenario. And that's really worked out well. That's actually been one of my best-selling books all year. It came out in November, Bachelor Seal. And I think that's a very good way to cross-market, because each of us, when we had the release time come up, each of us would promote the other. I would say next time we do it, I would do it in the spring and make it go from spring through the end of summer instead of hitting the Christmas holiday, because the Christmas holiday kind of interrupted a lot of sales. But we could put it up for pre-order 90 days or more in advance, and each of us help promote each other's books. Several of the books hit USA Today lists. The early books, the first ones in usually do, and then as they trail on out, they aren't quite as successful, but still they've been very good for the authors. I think that's a very viable thing, and not a lot of control over the writing. You have to work with people you know are good writers who can deliver story on time. You don't want to be part of a series and all of a sudden find out somebody can't get their book done, and that happens. That happens with the anthologies. You're pricing the book full price, which is better than an anthology, and you're using everybody else's advertising to help promote yours. So I think that's a very solid concept in selling books. You could do
Wow.
it with mystery, you could do it with science fiction, just as long as you had pretty much all solid writers, not a bunch of new ones. I
Right.
think that would work. Hmm.
That's a great idea.
It
So,
is. Hmm.
so we were talking about how you got into the theme of Navy SEALs, but
Hmm.
tell everyone else how that happened.
Well, our son was a Navy SEAL for 10 years. He put in his time. We got to experience what it was like to have him go in, graduate from high school, and then tell us, I want to be a SEAL. And we're like, what? What about college? What about playing soccer or something? No, he wanted to go into the military, and he wanted to do it to become a SEAL. And so he had to fight to get his berth, get his tryout. But because they make it difficult for the guys. Only 1 out of 10,000 Navy guys gets a chance to try out for the SEALs, but he had to really fight to get in. And then once he was chosen to try out, they had 192 in his class, and they graduated 12. So we read a lot of things about what to do with your son when he gets rejected. I mean, there's a lot written about, and my husband and I talked about it. Well, we tell him he's still a hero for trying, which he would be. And we honestly did want to count on it, but we honestly expected the odds were really against him. And then when he called and said he passed, and
Wow.
that's all he could say, I passed, and then he hung up. So, and that's only the beginning phase. There's 2 more phases that they do after that. So
Oh, wow.
it's I got to see what that made him become. He grew up as from a boy to a man to a warrior. How that shaped him, his mental state, and then followed him as he went off on his first deployments and lived through all that. So in my stories, I use a lot of the family or the community of SEALs that I've learned through him, just because not only have I been through the heartache and the worry of them going in dangerous places. It's difficult sometimes, but then you also have that knowledge that he's doing something that he absolutely loves to do, and that's what he said. I'm so lucky at such a young age to find something that I absolutely love to do.
Right.
So I'm very proud of him, but more I was compelled to want to write about the community because they are such fine young men. And of course, not all of them are perfect. But in my world, all my SEALs will be good guys. And they may be a little
Yeah.
rough around the edges, but they're going to be good.
Yeah. I keep looking down at my questions to remember what I'm supposed to be asking you today.
That's all right.
Oh, I know what I want to ask you. So I know that you eventually developed a street team, and this is
Uh-huh.
something that Penny Sanseveri is insistent that authors do, and but some
Uh-huh.
authors find it difficult to develop a street team. So tell us how you developed yours.
I actually had a reader that came to me and said, you need an author page on Facebook. I didn't even have one. And she's an old romance reader, and she said, come on, I'll set it up for you. So she actually set up my first
Oh,
Facebook
wow.
author page. And then she said, we've got some great fans, people that love your work, and let's create a street team and we'll start to promote you. And I said, street team, what's that? And she actually told me what it was. So we had about 8 or 10, and then we kind of added on to it, became 40, and they were just basically fans. And when I had a new book, they would go out and tell people. And since I was a new author, it was kind of exciting because they could say, yeah, this new author, check her out. And romance readers are avid readers. They read a book a day on average.
Wow.
So they're always looking for new authors. So they started it, and when the team got too big, she took a few people and made a smaller team out of it. So that's still in existence today as a stealth team, loosely organized, but basically anything I post to them, they will share and share in all their social media outlets and share with other readers. And then I have a larger, the other group formed, morphed into the Rockin' Readers, which is more a discussion and a reader group and a kind of have fun hangout place.
And that's your
And
Facebook group.
right, that's my Facebook group. That's the Rockin' Readers. And it's a close group, but we talk about books, we post pictures, it's a place where I can hang out and just have a conversation with fans. And it's they don't have to post anything, they don't have to, but if I really need something, if I say, hey, I really need this, or I need some reviews on this book or something, a few of them will jump in and do that for me, but they're not required to.
How long have you had the Facebook group?
I think some of them have been with me about 6 years.
Wow.
And we originally were going to be a street team, but it is, like I said, it's sort of morphed into more a reader group. There are several reader romance bloggers in the group. I even have a couple other authors in the group. And they're just people that like to read romance, and they know that in that venue, my books are the only ones that are promoted. That's the only rules.
Right, right.
So it's been about 6 years.
Wow. So how many people would you say are in your smaller street team?
There's only about 8. There's probably 10 in there, but about 8 that are active. And most of these people I've never met before.
And so they post information about your books and
they will post to different reader groups that they're involved in, where it's like promote your favorite author day on these different reading groups, or they will review things for me and post it on Amazon, or they'll post it in other groups, like there's romance, romantic suspense groups, military romance groups, all the different groups that they're a part of, and they will post it. Or if I have a special or price reduction or a new box set or a new audiobook, they will post that.
So how has the street team and this Facebook group contributed to your success, do you think?
Well, I think it's the best way to do it, and it's inexpensive. I have not yet found a promoter that was worth what they charge.
Right.
I've tried. I've hired some ad people. I've tried all kinds of things, and I just don't. There are no magic bullets that way. I mean, maybe if you're earning $100,000 a month, you can afford a big, huge PR firm that can do all that stuff. But for most people, I think just having the connection with the fans has been my success. And I try to, with my newsletters and my blogging, I try to interact with my readers a lot and try to respond and not be just a empty chair. So I think that's what keeps people interested. I do have contests from time to time and give away things, but I've cut way back on that. And I think it's basically trying to you want to find your avid fans, and you can't really pay for that. You just have to find them. They have to kind of find you.
Right.
And they tell each other, because fans sell each other. And so if you have a group, that's how they kind of generate each other's. Somebody will say, oh, you wrote about this in this book. And somebody will say, oh, I didn't get that book. I thought I read everything. And then they'll go run over and get it. Or they'll argue over what the next book should be, or, ask me if this character is going to come up again. And that's fun. When they know my characters sometimes better than I do.
So I've run into you at the post office and you're sending things off to your fans or your readers. And what sorts of things do you send to them?
Sometimes it's there will be prizes for like a contest of some kind. So I send T-shirts. I have my new recruit pink camo T-shirts that say Seal Brotherhood. I have other T-shirts that my seals have a winery. So there's the Sophia's Choice winery. There's Frog Piss beer. I have T-shirts with that. And different things like that. Books sometimes, but sometimes patches. They like I have a collection of very irreverent patches, like motorcycle patches that, you know, that people like. They're really a great hit at signing parties. If people buy 2 or 3 books and I give them a patch or 2, they love those patches. They go through those bags like crazy. Dog tags I have. I have the red wristbands. We wear red on Fridays, so red wristbands I give away. That's basically it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask you something. It just slipped my mind. When that happens. I have to go back to my list, but it was. Well, I'll just go back to my list. What other things do you do to market your books? I know that you have an active Facebook page.
Yes, I do. I use some software to keep the postings so I don't have to run there every day. So I use some automated software where you can program things ahead of time, like eClincher and Meet Edgar. Those are really great tools. That way you can stay current. And I try to set up posts so that they are questions that ask for participation from people to try to keep my page relevant. I have about 35,000 followers on my Facebook author page.
That's incredible.
Mine 38,000. And so when not everybody opens up, of course, I don't have a high open rate on that, but at least it goes out to that many people.
Right.
So I think having a newsletter where you announce things and not bombarding people with too many things. So it goes out about once a month. Then they get all the news, the new books, any specials, some excerpts that they can't get otherwise. I think I used to do a lot of Facebook parties, and I don't do that anymore, although I'm going to do one in April for a birthday for another author friend, just a drop in. And but we used to do that. Boy, we'd get 1,000 people participating, and I gave away a lot of stuff. Not doing that anymore. I think Facebook parties have kind of gone their way. I'm really more interested in the readers who are real readers, not just in it for the freebies.
Right.
And let's see, what else? Well, I have a giveaway or a contest every month on Writer Space. That's a small commitment, dollar commitment. And I usually give away 1 or 2 books there. We may do BookBub ads. I like BookBub ads because I get a high payback on that. I just did a BookBub ad where we sold Ultimate Seal Collection, which was 3 books for $7.99, which sell for $7.99, and it went for sale for $1.99. So
that's great. Have you done any BookBub promotions?
I've done BookBub ads for pre-orders and for new book launches. I haven't done BookBub ads yet per se. I haven't tried that. And we've done some Facebook ads. We have done ads using our book trailers because you can get them, if you do a video, you get it in for a very inexpensive click rate. because Facebook likes videos.
Right.
So my
Absolutely.
book trailers do very well. They generate a lot of interest. But that's pretty much it. I don't really hire anybody to promote me, and I don't
Right.
pay for a lot of ads. I keep my budget pretty low for all that.
Yeah.
I'd say I spend more on BookBub than anything else.
Have you tried Facebook Live?
No, I haven't.
Facebook? No.
Mm-mm,
I bet that would be
no.
popular for you.
I'll have
I
to
bet
try
that'd be
that.
popular for you. Yeah.
Okay.
People like it. Um, can you talk us through what you do for a new book launch?
Okay. Well, generally we've got a long tail, so it's hopefully been on pre-order for a month or so.
Uh-huh.
And we promote that in advance. Then the week of, I usually put my books out on a Tuesday. So starting Sunday, I start asking the reader group and the street team to start promoting it. And then I just drop by all the different groups that I'm involved with and post it on that page that it's coming out. And then we send a newsletter on the day of or the day after it releases. I don't like to send it out before. I like to send it when it's actually live.
Right.
And then that's pretty much it. We don't. I might put in Facebook ads with the new release, but that's pretty much it. It's
Yeah.
not a whole lot.
But it works for you, and you have a street
Hmm.
team, and you have
Hmm.
Rocket Readers to help, so you have a lot
Hmm.
of support.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
we also, in between times, I think a lot of people make this big push for their book launch and they don't take care of the details in between. And some of the things that you can do is like encourage people to sign up to be for BookBub alerts and
Mhm.
to follow you on BookBub or follow you on
Right.
Amazon. And that way, even if they've lost touch with you through Facebook or wherever else, when you have a new release or a pre-order, they're going to get that notification. And
Right.
it's kind of like it cross-pollinates everything. So you get some other people back that maybe you don't talk to on a weekly or monthly basis.
Right. Right. So I noticed that you have box sets, and I'm wondering if you
Mhm.
like those and if those sell better than individual ebooks.
Sometimes they it's people have asked me if they thought the box set um, pilfers from the single books, and it really
Mhm.
doesn't. Um, I've People like to have box sets at a sort of discounted price because $4 times 3 or 4, that's 12
Right.
$12 to some, and if you can buy it for $7.99, that's a discount. But it's
Right.
still a hefty profit for me. I've already marketed the books and I'm just bundling them,
Right.
and I'm happy to give somebody that discount. Um, some people don't want to take up that much bandwidth on their Kindle, so
I
they
see.
they like the individual books. Some people are on a budget. They only buy real sale items like 99 cent or 1.99 books.
Right.
So you kind of hit all phases. Especially if I put a box set in BookBub, like this last time, I think I sold 9 or 10,000 of that box
Wow.
set. Um,
And that's just starting
whereas,
out on BookBub?
whereas before, I think I was selling maybe 50 a day.
Right.
So that was a big difference that day.
Wow.
Um, is on BookBub for 99 cent deals or free deals. I've sold as many as 68,000 in 5 days. So
Wow.
that's 68,000 people that have all my books in their Kindle in the backlist of the book.
Right.
So eventually some of those will find me if, you know, if they don't bury the book.
Yeah, you have incredible sales, Sharon. I already knew
Well,
that, but
it's,
I just want to say that.
but that's how you keep it going. And you have to, every once in a while, I'll pick another book that to be free. But I have like my first in series, Accidental Seal, that's free. That's been free now for about 3 years. And it still
It's on
sells.
Amazon as a free book
Yeah, it's on every it's on
everywhere.
iBooks, Kobo, everywhere it's free. Everywhere it can be. Let's put it that way. And then I have Seal's Promise, which was midway in my series. That's like book number 9 or 10. That's free right now and won't be for very long. That's the first book in my series. So when you write in a series, then if
Right.
you release another book in that series, you can make the first book free temporarily for that launch week. That's another
Right.
launch thing. And then hopefully they like that book. They'll buy not only the new one, but the 2 or 3 or 4 in the middle.
Right.
So that's why series really works. They get
Yeah.
hooked into it. Once they do that, then I got them for life pretty much.
Right. You're a good marketer, Sharon.
I try.
No, you really are. You've learned a lot, you've applied a lot, and I think you've experimented your own ideas and you've done really well. So I congratulate you for that. So
The other nice thing about bundle books, let me just mention one more thing, is audiobooks are very expensive to produce, and
yes,
they don't make
yes,
sense for a lot of authors these days to do. But I'm heavily invested in them, and I got in and made a profit while you could. And now with the way they've changed things, it's really hard to break even with audiobooks if you pay the narrator yourself.
right.
But I do own all those files, so I bundle those. And those audiobooks actually sell better than my individual books. And those have been a real winner for my audiobook sales.
That's wonderful.
And you're not having to pay the narrator again. The narrator just bundles them together for you because he's already done it.
Right.
And you remarket it. It's no cost really, just a few hours of time. And then you have a sales vehicle. It's the only way to sell discounted books on Audible by giving, you know, a bundle.
Yeah. That's fabulous. That's a fabulous idea. So, we're Facebook friends and I've liked your Facebook page and so I follow
Mm-hmm.
you and I know that you go
Mm-hmm.
to a lot of events. And is that also part of your
Mm-hmm.
marketing?
It is. I think when people get to meet you face to face, they have a special connection. Um, you know, they want to be a part of your life. It's That's not creepy at all. It just, you know, so far I've had no trouble with that. It's kind of nice, really. There's a lot of really lonely people who have no family or have no one in their lives, or maybe their husbands have died or their kids have all moved away and nobody talks to mom anymore. You know, there's just a lot of really lonely people
Hmm.
out there. I had no idea there was until I started writing romance.
Oh, wow.
And they really live for these books. And I mean, I get these wonderful letters from people saying how I helped them through. I mean, I really didn't do it. It's just they're nice enough to tell me, you know, cancer, they lost their daughter, you know,
Oh,
even had
wow.
people who've lost their kids overseas, you know, fighting. Um,
Ah,
and I just never realized that there were that many people out there. So even if I wanted to give up, I would feel so bad to let these people
right.
down. They really do need to read romance. They just love it. They live for it. I don't know what they do with the rest of
Wow.
their lives, but I know this makes them happy.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
these are good readers, smart women, mostly women who have, you know, they read fast, they remember, they're sharp, and it means a lot to them to have you sign something you feel like a celebrity, but it means a lot to them.
Right, right. No, I looked at your website, which is really beautiful and
Thank you.
very reader centric. And I
Thank you.
noticed that you have a Goodreads group.
Uh-huh. Yes, we
When
do.
when did you start that?
Well, we started that about 3 or 4 years ago. I actually do not have anybody in charge of that anymore. I wish I did.
Hmm.
If somebody out there wants to run it for me, that would be great. But we actually haven't done much with it, except that there are people that like to post on Goodreads, so that's why I have a presence.
Right.
Um, there are good ways to do it, and I've had people try to work on that a little bit, but we haven't quite formulated that yet. I don't quite have the right person in charge yet, and I don't want to pay for somebody to do that. I'm waiting for a fan to step up and take over that.
Right. So what happens now with the group? They're just sort of loosely organized or?
Yeah, it's very loosely organized.
Mhm.
I have an assistant that will go over and post things now and then,
That's
but
good.
it's not very organized. No.
Uh-huh. But it's a good idea. And if you get somebody to help
Hmm.
you with it, it will be really
Yeah.
helpful. And
Yeah.
not many
Yeah.
authors start groups, but it's a really good marketing idea.
Yeah. It's built up to a good little number now, and I think we've got about 80 in that group,
Wow,
something like that. Hmm.
that's great.
So
Do you
yeah, we
also
should work on it.
do you do giveaways on Goodreads also?
I haven't done that for a couple of years, but I have
Mhm.
done that in the past, yes.
Yeah.
And there's also a way you can do that with audiobooks. There's a similar type of thing
Hmm.
you can do to give away audiobooks. I've done that too. Um, we stopped doing that because of some pirating issues that we were
Oh.
concerned about. So, and there's always that. I would rather give books away to people that reach out to me or I have some kind of a personal connection to.
Hmm.
It's kind of hard for me to give away things to just anybody who signs up for something. But we are
Yeah.
doing that with our newsletter, but they have to kind of do something for me first and then they get something for free. I like that better. So we haven't been doing that with the Goodreads lately.
Yeah. Yeah. Goodreads is good for authors, especially I think.
Hmm.
Well, nonfiction authors can start groups and fiction authors as well.
Yeah,
But
it's a
it's
good way to find readers if you don't have any. And
absolutely,
yes.
absolutely.
Hmm.
In order to really do Goodreads, you have to be active on it and just
Hmm.
make it work for you, just like any
Hmm.
social media network.
Yes. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm probably not the best example of what to do with that. But I'm a work in process always.
Well, you're so busy. I mean, you must attend a lot of events. You're sending things to readers. You've got your street team. You have the Rockin' Readers. You have all the writing
Mhm.
you have to do. You're collaborating with writers. You have an
Yeah.
active blog. I mean, you have a newsletter. I
Hmm.
mean, Sharon,
Yeah.
you do a lot.
Yeah, I
You
do.
do a lot, and you do it
Thank
yourself. And I think that's
Yes, I do.
fabulous.
Yeah.
And you've had tremendous success. And I've watched you over the years and I've respected you over the years and just congratulate you for
Oh,
just all
thank
that
you.
you've achieved, really.
Hmm.
So we've really come to the close of this. And I was wondering if you'd like to let people know how they can connect with you online.
Sure. Well, the best thing would be to sign up for my newsletter, and you can get that on my website, SharonHamiltonAuthor.com. And then there's a form in there you can sign up for the newsletter. If you want to follow me on Amazon, you'll get all the new release information. You just go onto the Amazon book page and click the yellow button, follow, search for Sharon Hamilton, just follow. Um, my email address is SharonHamilton2001 @gmail.com. You're welcome to send me an email or question. I'd be happy to answer it, unless I get 10,000. Then no promises. um, I will be at the Love and 50 book signing in Sacramento, February 9th. It's Friday, February 9th, up in Sacramento, and that's posted on my Facebook page. But pretty much everything that's going on with me, I've got posted on my Facebook author or profile page, and that's probably a pretty good way to follow me. And the newsletter has a feature, whereas if you have a question, you can leave me an email, and I answer everybody that asks a question.
That's fabulous. Well, thank you so much, Sharon, for being on the
You're
show.
welcome.
I really appreciate it. And for all of those you who are here today, you'll be getting a replay in your email if you want to rewatch the broadcast. And I'm also going to be putting it on my blog. So it'll be out there
Awesome.
available for people to see it. So
Thank
thank you,
you so
Sharon.
much.
And just
Thank
signing off,
you.
this is Frances Caballo from Social Media Just for Writers. And I'm so happy you have spent the hour with us. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.